Welcome to Podtendo, a Nintendo podcast, where they analyze, reminisce, and replay the glory of old Nintendo games. Hey guys, welcome to the Podtendo podcast, where normally we analyze, reminisce, and replay the glory of old Nintendo games. We're a pop culture review, let's play something show. I forget what those are. I'm your co-host, Mick. I'm joined every episode by my lovely and talented co-host,
Tyson. I think it's retrospective at some point.
Yeah, maybe
Did
retrospective.
you say retrospective? I don't know, it's a lot of words.
You would think after 100 shows I would know, but I don't, so, that's too bad.
We wing it.
All right, so there you go. So what we're doing today, it's not a numbered show specifically. What we're looking back at is our first 100 shows. So we hit a milestone a couple months ago, back in November. We were playing Super Mario World. We recorded together. Should have been like a memorable landmark occasion, but I think we kind of just bobbled the ball. We mentioned it briefly on Star Fox a couple weeks ago, and yeah. So here we are. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a whole show. Not really a logic to it. We're just going to go back and we're going to reminisce, and we're going to just sit back and look at our first 100 shows, and we're going to talk about some of our favorite experiences, some of the games that I think we changed our opinions on. We had a lot of fun playing. They were just memorable experiences, and we'll touch on some of our worst. So I really don't think there's like a set structure to the show. Essentially, we're just going to kind of like reminisce for, I don't know, however long we talk today. So that's kind of the point of today's show. Kind of fun.
Yeah. And I think that like 100 shows is pretty respectable for us to have sat down and done this 100 times. Like, and we easily record probably like over an hour most shows. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know. Most people, like a lot of podcasts, break things into seasons or whatever, do year-end wrap-ups or whatever. We kind of do that a little bit, but I don't know. 100 shows seems special. So we're just gonna kind of reminisce and just try to think back. We may not remember things, everything so clearly, because I mean it's hard to remember 100 games, but yeah.
You didn't specifically go back and re-listen to our entire catalog start to finish and make notes?
I didn't. No, that's a lot of hours, and if anyone did like recently, bravo. Like that's a lot of us talking. So
yeah, that is a lot of kudos deserved in that case for sure. Yeah, so I've got 5 worst and I've got 10 favorites. So should we just kind of pull the band-aid off and get through kind of the worst, get our feet wet before we kind of talk about the good stuff?
Yeah. I'm sure if we have some returning listeners, they know a lot of these games. So
all right, okay. So we have let's do our 5 worst. So that's it. So the 5 worst shows that we've done. So these are shows that I maybe went in thinking like, oh, this will be fun to play, and I had a miserable experience. It just wasn't fun. And it's kind of jaded me, and I definitely dislike the game as a result of playing it versus like jaded opinion. So first, I've kind of like a co-leader here. I guess there's actually 4 at my number 5 spot. So really, it's almost a top 10 list. But we've got Contra Series. So whatever games we played there. So Contra, Super C, Super Contra. So there's 3 games, as well as our summer trio. So one year we did these summer blockbuster games. We did Top Gun, which is terrible. We did Jaws, which isn't good. And we did Ghostbusters, which also isn't good. So technically my 5 is actually 6 games.
That's fair. It's like it's hard to kind of like narrow those games down because there's a lot of bad games. My number 5 is Kid Icarus because this game was just super underwhelming. I don't understand why it actually even had a fan base. It's like what?
Yeah.
But and I kind of expected a better game going into it. So when I kind of played it, it was like, oh, I was really just underwhelmed and bored. But I understand limitations and such at the times, which is why it's only in like my 5 spot. So
yeah, and I mean, Contra, I guess, is a series of running gun and action adventure. It doesn't speak to me per se, right? Top Gun, again, just limitation of the hardware. They were trying to create a flight simulator, which is very ambitious. They didn't land it for sure. Just like you can't land the ship. Kid Icarus, though, it's kind of a fun action adventure game, and I think there was the skeleton of a really good idea. A really fun experience exists in Kid Icarus. It just wasn't executed well at all. Yeah,
and it's a little bit too arcadey, and I feel like, you know, if they would have came out on like the Super Nintendo where more adventuring games were prevalent, and like you're rewarded for exploring as opposed to just punished for not just keeping moving up. So
Yeah, and I don't know what that is. Like it's kind of one of those things where they give you power ups and there's fun power ups and you can build up your life bar and get new arrows. But then I think if you die, those things get lost. Like it's weird progression tracking, right? And it wasn't the most fun experience for sure. Ghostbusters was also bad. Number 4. I was just gonna so that's kind of the way I'm gonna do the show, is briefly give like a quick sentence breakdown of each game, if that makes sense. Like why it's good, why it's bad.
that's fair. That's fair. I was kind of like, I have your summer trio on my list as well, so I was going to probably just like talk about it then. But we could easily just talk about that. I also didn't really touch on Contra. I never liked Contra games. I always thought they were like really just frustrating because it's that arcadey quarter experience where you're designed to die and have you restart until you do everything perfectly. It's like, this isn't my style. And I don't know, just replaying them, it's like, wow, this game still isn't my style. So yeah.
Okay.
But
nice. And is that it? Are we good?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could just talk about the Top Gun. Like, it's crap.
It is crap.
Jaws it's a unique experience for 5 minutes, and then you do one dive, and you're like, hopefully I don't do that again. And then you just keep doing that, and that's the entire game. And Ghostbusters is just a train wreck. So.
Again, Ghostbusters just seems fun, where you can like build up your things and you have to drive around the city, but catching the ghosts is so hard and you burn so much fuel driving around the city that you end up it's just basically a fuel buying game. Again, Backbone, really good game, terribly executed. The rest of my games, I think that's probably like the dregs almost. Like I would say of those games, that's probably the worst. Of the worst. Now there's some games that have some substance but are just terrible. So like my number 4, I have Dirge of Cerberus, Final Fantasy VII. It was the last Final Fantasy game we played in our month of year of Final Fantasy VII. So we're playing all these great landmark games. We're having these fun experiences. Crisis Core wasn't awful, and then you get to Dirge of Cerberus, and it's just this really bare bones third-person shooter that's not good. It's not fun. The ending is just awful. Right? Like, it's such a drag to get through that end section, and the ending is kind of lame, and it just ends in like a weird J-pop music video. It's not a fun experience. I kind of hated it the first time I played it. I definitely hated it the second time.
Yeah. It's a passable. You can definitely just skip this one because it doesn't even add anything to the lore. You don't really like find out anything interesting about Vincent. It was more interesting left ambiguously instead of just like made these characters super over dramatic, and it's a really bad gameplay loop where you just run into a room, shoot everybody, run into a room, shoot everybody, run into a room, shoot everybody, but in the most clunky way possible, where you just get like, if you get shot, you just get thrown around, and sometimes enemies just soak up so much damage. It's passable. You can skip this one.
Yeah, no, it is, yeah, like Tyson said, bad experience. Number 4, what is your number 4?
I got Battletoads. It's unnecessarily hard, and not all that interesting. Like, it does vary a few things up, but I'm just thinking, like, I have war flashbacks to the stupid, like, you have to hold on to the gear as it goes along the pipe, and then you have to press the right time, and it's a really neat idea, but the way you're so zoomed in and everything just happens so fast, it just becomes like you just memorize the button prompts. Like, you don't even have to look at the screen. You could just set a metronome and just press the buttons, and wow, you've done it. It's like, this isn't gaming. This is painful.
Yeah, no, it is. It does seem like, again, just very poor execution of a game. I don't know if the remake made improvements. I know people were like freaking out when they saw that. The first game is just not fun. I have that as my number 3 on my list. And yeah, it is just like a bash 'em. Basically, it's just an arcade game on a home console. It's meant to just steal quarters from you. And I don't think arcade games should be praised in the slightest for level design, right? Like, they were intentionally made to be bad to take quarters from you. Whereas home consoles, in my opinion, should be developed to be like a fun experience. It should be rewarding. You know, there should be like little challenges, but also rewards. And I don't think you get that in the Battletoad experience. So what's your number 3?
Mine's Excite Bike.
Okay.
It's pretty boring, and it's it's not even really a fun racer. It's more of just like again, kind of has that arcadey feel where you just like, it's almost designed to just have you fail and then try again. It's like until you kind of just memorize the map, and it's
Well,
boring.
and and I kind of feel like it's just a fast experience, right? Like you don't really get anything out of it. It's just so quick. Like even if you're really good at it, you play it on hardest difficulty, it's a 20-minute experience and you move on with your life. So it just doesn't really lull you into the game, right? So
Yep.
yeah. All right. So we got 2 left. So what is your number 2
No,
worst?
you didn't. What's your number 3?
Battletoads.
Okay.
Yeah. I kind of said that. I was like, I have that at 3. Anyway, so yeah, number 2 is, what is yours?
I had the Top Gun, Jaws, and Ghostbusters all lumped in here because it's just a miserable time. Like Top Gun, the only thing you can do is fly around, shoot things, and then try to land on a stupid Harrier
I remember
jet.
thinking that like the flight simulator part was kind of interesting at the very least, right? But yeah, like then you have to land the ship, and it's just like notoriously really difficult. So, and like the flight simulator isn't good either. So like neither part of it is good. So
Yeah, and I mean Ghostbusters is just poorly thought out. Like it feels like unrelentless, and like people, they didn't know how to build a game, so they just took many mini games and slapped it over different set pieces, and it just those stairs are bad, and even the boss fights are kind of just bad, and I don't know, it just it's money management where it adds stresses to everything you do. Just turning on that game stresses me out.
Yeah, nice. And how about number 1? What is your worst? Oh, that's my number 2. Sorry, my number 2 is I have Ghosts in Goblins, the NES Capcom game where you play as a brave knight and you have to rescue a princess from an evil demon across an evil land. It sucks.
Yeah. Then you gotta do it again. I have this as my number 1. It's just brutal. I've mentioned this many, many times where I love the aesthetic, and I love kind of the soundtrack, and you got to run around a graveyard and level up your knight and fight off zombies and vampires and werewolves, and you're like, this is great stuff. This is stuff I love. It's like has a very Halloween-y feel where it makes me, I want to just be able to pick up this game and on Halloween and just have a fun time. But then you play it for 4 seconds and you're like, oh, this is just awful. It's just it's like a bullet shooter where your character has a delay, and everything just feels like broken, like it's running through a typewriter. It's just not good.
No. Yeah, no, and I guess in theory, like Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts, I think is a Super Nintendo version. Also not a fun experience. Also just equally as difficult. Not a rewarding experience whatsoever.
No.
Although I kind of feel like Maximo is like the 3D version of those games, and I think I liked Maximo as a kid. So I'd be interested to go back and like look at that and be like, why is this a better version of these 2 other games?
Well, see, and I like Maximo. I think Maximo is a great game, and I actually played a lot of it because I remember buying it when it came out because I loved the idea of ghouls and ghosts. And it just, I think it's because they did away with all the game delay. If like Sir whatever heck his name is actually controlled smoothly, the game would be playable, but it's not playable. It's like you have to build in this delay into your brain on everything you do, and sometimes then it just even chugs. Like the game will just like get like it's awful. It's just it's barely a game. It's a slideshow.
All right, and your number 1 game is worst game.
It was Ghouls and Ghosts.
All right. Mine is Sonic 1. The reason I went high on the list is I really like Sonic 2. Sonic 2 I grew up kind of with, is very fun. Sonic 3 I think is a very fun experience. Like that ball collecting game is awesome. Sonic Mania is awesome. And you think, 2D Sonic is the pinnacle of gameplay. And then you play Sonic 1 and it sucks. There are platforming. Like in the second level, you have to ride on little crates over lava, and you have to not move or you die. And the platforming is not very good, and it's just not a fun experience, and it is the weakest in the franchise. And I guess the way I'm viewing this list is, since I've played it, would I ever play it again? And I think going back and having to like critically analyze Sonic 1 makes me never want to, like, I'm never going to play Sonic 1 again. I will play 2, I will play 3, I will play Mania happily and this is great, Knuckles, cool experience, but 1 is just so bad in my mind, and I think that's kind of why it's worse. I didn't have high hopes going into those other games as much as I did Sonic 1, and it just kind of like wrecked it for me. So
that's fair. I don't hate this game, but I also don't like this game. It's in a weird space where I like it's 2D Sonic, but as soon as you play it, like it's just it's so restricted and just it's not fast. It's not the Sonic that we all know and love. Sonic 2 is the one we love.
Yeah.
Like that's the definitive experience. Sonic 1 was a game that we never had as a kid, and I'm glad we never had as a kid, because it would just have sat on the shelf.
Yes.
And maybe just soaked up time to be like, oh man, this game's no fun. Let me play it too. And yeah, it's just, yeah, it's the beginning of a good franchise or an okay franchise, but yeah, I don't hate it. I just don't like it.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So that's negative. So that's it. So those are our worst experiences. They jarred us from video games. We're gonna look at our top 10 favorite shows. So based on the same criteria, it's games maybe that we liked before, but playing them again increased our appreciation. Maybe we were really excited to play it. We had a really fun experience while we were playing through them or something like that. That's how I kind of based my list. So it's again not necessarily the best. Honorable mentions right off the top: Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Final Fantasy VII, Super Mario World. Are great games. I loved them before I played them. I still love them after I played them. Am I looking back to going back and playing them again? Not necessarily, and that's why they didn't make my top 10 list. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. So anything that doesn't make my list, it's not because it's bad. It's just because I don't have a propensity to go play it again, right? So
that's fair. I love those games, and some of those games I would still go back and replay, but I don't want to give too much of spoilers because
sure.
But my honorable mentions was Stardew Valley. Like that as a farming experience, like those games seem so boring to me, and then I play Stardew Valley and you're just like, this game is just delightful. Like it's just so relaxing and chill, and no matter what you're doing, you're just having fun. Then I got like Street Fighter 2, Super Metroid, maybe Ninja Gaiden, and I got Turtles in Time on there. It's like just a bunch of games that like I love for sure, and I like would go pick up and play anytime. But it's hard to make a top 10 good list because a lot of these games I swear I have video game ADD where I'll just bounce. I can play 5-10 minutes of any of these games on this list, but maybe the ones in the top 10 I'll sit down and actually try to finish.
Yeah, all right, nice. So then that leads into our top 10. I don't think I have these in any particular order. They're just my top 10. I didn't really rank them. So starting off, I'm going to go with Mario RPG. It was a game I always wanted to play as a kid. If a friend had it, I'd love diving into this experience. I remember actually going through and beating it for the very first time ever on this podcast, super early on in our kind of playthrough. I still want to go back and play it. I wish it was a little bit more accessible. Kind of wish it was on like the Switch Online, for example, and I could just kind of get my hands on it, kind of keep it mobile. Maybe with my Switch, I definitely would play that game more, and that's why I just can't. I seem like I can't get enough. It just seems like it's kind of cute. It's the right level of, I don't know, challenge. I mean, not that it's challenging, but it's that like right level of difficulty in an RPG where I'm like, I get it. I just move on a linear path, and it's not that hard, right? So that's kind of what I was looking for there. So Mario RPG, you made my top 10 list. Good job.
Yep, it's a good one. I always wish we lived in a world where like Mario RPG got like the true sequel experience, and not just like they took that and melted it into Paper Mario. Like I love Paper Mario, but don't get me wrong, it's just like I wish that there was like another Mario RPG franchise that they started up. I just wish there was two.
No, and I think that's the fan base definitely echoes those sentiments. So,
yep. My number 10 is, these are not really in any particular order. I'll just like, I put Link to the Past and like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask in my 10 slot.
Nice.
Just because it's like I love these games, and I love Link to the Past. Like I'll go play that game right now. So I felt wrong not having it on this list. So
that's fair. That's
what earned a slot.
100%. And like I said, I guess I remember honorable mentions. I mentioned Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. You mentioned Super Metroid. I will just throw out that I do have a Link to the Past, Super Metroid randomizer. I think that's just kind of, in my mind, the superior experience. Like Link to the Past, I play every year. I wrap it. It takes me a couple hours. I know everything. Give me a challenge, though. Mix things up. And adding in a Super Metroid, where I don't specifically know everything, I find it's just a more enjoyable experience. So it is up there. I would probably play a randomizer over the original game, right?
That's fair. I love the OG. What can I say?
Yeah, okay, nice. So then that gives us, why don't you give us number 9, since I already kind of threw out one of mine.
Easy. Well, I did this is where I slotted Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 4.
Okay.
I love 4 so much. It's just like one of those games where like I really wish that this game got more content, more thing. Like if there was a randomizer of this, I'd be all over it. So
what are the after years? Isn't there Final Fantasy 4 the after years? Have you ever played that?
Yes, it's similar, but I don't know. It doesn't have that same like broken 8-bit sprite kind of look to it. Like I love that thing. Like the little cute animations. It's amazing. Right. If mobile games look like this, they'd probably get my money.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, like Final Fantasy 7 again, landmark achievement game. We talked about it for a whole year. Of course, it's a big deal. Final Fantasy 4, I'm less into, but like I think I'm more of a 6 person myself if I had to pick. I didn't put either on the list, so obviously they're not that high. But like Tyson does really like 4, so makes sense that it's on the list.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I mean, again, not a bad game. It's not a bad experience. It does jump. I find the story is kind of just like all over the place. Like if you were to draw like a mind map of kind of like what you have to do at some points, you'd be like, wait, why are we on a boat and getting attacked by a Leviathan? Like that seems weird, but whatever. Anyways,
because it looks cool.
I guess. Number 9 on my list was one of the games I was super excited for. I knew we were playing it right away on this podcast. It was a new release game. I bought it day of. I think I even like had a reserved copy. I might have taken a couple sick days when it first came off when I was working and just sat and like powered through this game, beat it in like 2 days. Was so excited. It is nothing but South Park Fractured But Whole. I can't remember the last time I was excited for kind of like a launch of a game specifically. This game lived up to the hype. It's the humor of South Park mixed with kind of more of a simple gameplay. At no point am I saying this is like a complex gameplay, but there is a lot of creativity. Going back and replaying the DLC this last year was a lot of fun, and just kind of getting to immerse myself into that experience. Yeah, it was good. Nothing but good things to say about that series. They did those games well.
Yeah, 100%. Like these games, I think this and the Stick of Truth.
Yep.
We both were just like all over them because we love South Park, and essentially it was a playable, it was a playable season. So there was so much writing, and it was so well done that it's just like it's literally like if you love the show, you would love just playing your way through it. And I don't think you have to be too hardcore of an RPG fan. You kind of just like get to make your own character and then just run around in the world exploring. It's fun. Like you kind of like can be a jerk to some people and kind of be nice to some people. I think it's just like it's very, very entertaining.
And that's one of the best parts too, is you get to just explore the world of South Park, right? Yep. Like you get to throw yourself into the show and the world and walk around and see the weird stuff that happens on a weekly basis to the boys. And outstanding affair. And it's just, and again, one of those things where because I was so excited to play it, it's just always stuck with me, right? And even going back to it this last year for the DLC, like I started a whole new campaign and played up and got to good experience. So
definitely.
Nice.
And I mean, like this was, I think the only other game that gave us like launch chills, I should say, was like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
But that was also came with a brand new console and everything. So
unless you had your Wii U kicking around and then you booted that bad boy up and played your Wii U and Breath of the Wild.
That's true. Just in case you couldn't wait or couldn't get your hands on the stupid Switch because
they were hard
sold
to
out.
find. Yeah,
they were. I set my alarm on that day and lucked out.
Nice. Okay, so where am I? I've got 1, 2, 3 talked about. I think you've talked about 2. What's a third one? Number 8 on
3.
Your list.
Or number 8. Mario 3 and World and 64. This is where I lumped them.
Okay. Look at this guy. Like I give him a top 10 list. Pick 10 games, and he's lumping. Like how many games have you included thus far?
Too many.
So you have Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, Majora's Mask.
Link to the Past.
3, Final Fantasy 4. Yeah.
So you're on number 3, and you talked about 8 games.
I try. I couldn't. Like you try picking one of these games. Yeah. Like I don't want to just add all of them because then that'd be the entire list. I want to add some variety. So I'm just trying to grab as much entertainment and nostalgia as we can. Because like I love Mario 3. It's so good.
Yes.
Mario World is excellent. That's why you have it as your honorable mention. But I feel bad having them as my number 1, number 2, number 3 slot, even though they probably should be.
Yep.
These games are great. And I just want to include them.
Again, if this was our favorite games list, my list would look much different. Again, this was kind of like favorite shows. So it's even like games that have been a week and I've like fallen in love with as a result of playing them or something like that. I have a couple of those on here, and I was like, oh, I really do like this game, right? Again, we just played Super Mario World. We just played Super Mario Bros. 3. So if you're ever listening to this, look back on our timeline, like 2 shows. I just played them. I'm probably not going to play them again for a little while, hence why they didn't quite make my list just now. So it's not any shade thrown at these games. However, one of those games you talked about did make my list. So Mario 64 might be one of my favorite, like, it might be my favorite Mario game. I know I say World is my favorite game, but I really like Mario 64. Going back and playing it on the like All-Star collection for the Switch and playing it for this podcast really awoke something in me where I just like have a lot of fun. I did a challenge, like collect 0 coin run, see how far you could get. Even collecting 100% of the, like, it's a really fun experience. I think for the first kick of the can of a 3D game, Nintendo crushed it. They absolutely just killed it with this experience. It still brings me back to when it first came out, and the look and the feel and the new button design and the way he moved. I think it's just so fluid and great. And like Mario 64 is up there. And when looking back on games that we've played on this, like, definitely one of those things where it was there. I knew Mario 64 existed, but playing it and doing the no coin challenge when we talked about that show last year has opened my eyes to this. Like, it's competing for almost one of my favorite games of all time right now. So Mario 64 is just, I think, is absolutely landmark achievement, right? So.
Oh, totally. I echo all your sentiments. It's so good. Like this game made what 3D platforming, 3D gaming is today. Like, even you look at Mario Sunshine and Mario Odyssey, it's still fundamentally Mario 64. Like, that's how much they just nailed it right off the bat, where it stayed timeless even in the 3D space. And that's like a huge testament to be one of the first like 3D games. And like Nintendo always just like, when they have to like nail something, they just like knock it out of the park. And this was just, yeah, you can go back, you can play it. It's playable even nowadays. And like, I mean, how long ago did this come out? Like 20 years or 18 or something?
Was it in 96 or something like that? So what is that, 15 years?
Yeah.
Is that math right?
No, I think that's like
25 years.
2019. Anyways, some they probably can drive at this point.
Yeah,
Mario 64 has a driver's license.
Yeah, 25. Jeez, all right, okay. So where am I? So that was another game I had on my list. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I've talked about 4, and you've talked about 4 as well.
I talked just
about 3. Okay, yeah, so what's
3.
your 7?
No, you gotta give your next one.
No,
because you left on Fractured Butthole.
Yeah, so I've done Mario 64, and so I've given 4.
Oh, okay, I got you. I did Earthbound.
Earthbound, okay. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, this game, I mean, it's not perfect, but it has a lot of just like, it's a really wholesome but dark experience. Yeah. It's one of those games that's kind of like, as you can, it kind of encapsulates like growing older and dealing with like the consequences and like life changing, and like the ending is just like awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was a fun experience. I'd say the opening, I don't know, hour or two are a lot of fun. There are some misadventures in between. It's one of those things, like, I would recommend a strategy guide kind of after those first couple of hours. First, when you get stuck, right? Before you head to like the happy village. But like the battle system is really clean, it's really fun. I really love just overpowering, right? Like you fight those ants that kill you, and then you kind of grind it out, and you health save, and you go back, and all of a sudden you get to the point where you're just like killing them no problem, and you're like, I'm a god, this is great. And the ending has that similar where you fight the Starman and you just kind of overpower, and I love that kind of getting overpowered in a video game and just being able to like clean sweep it type thing. So Earthbound definitely has that fun experience. That last hour, 2 hours of the game, super fun. Right, like as soon as you defeat that evil statue in your mind, and all of a sudden it's just like games like, here's random stats, you just got 100 something points, and you're like, I just got 100 health points for nothing. Like, that's awesome. So that is a very rewarding experience. So I definitely understand why you'd have that on your list.
Yep.
Nice. Okay. So then myself, now I have to go another game. I'm gonna go with Mega Man X, the very first game I played when I got my Switch Mini. I think it's a very solid, fun platforming adventure action arcade experience. Maybe the best Mega Man game. Like, 2 is pretty good, but like Mega Man X, I think, just is head and shoulders above it. The control is so clean. The power-ups are just perfect. There's like little hidden things. The Hadouken that shows up randomly. I think it's just... is awesome. It's a fun gaming experience. Really loved playing that podcast. And I mean, we'd be reminiscent. We're not talking about our favorite shows, and one of our calling cards of our show is our Wayback Machine. And what is time and time again one of the best Wayback Machines we've ever had? We still talk about it. Is, of course, Mega Man X.
Yeah, that's fair. It's that magical time where it came out with a bunch of other good games, and I like the Mega Man games are cute, but they're very 8-bitty. This feels like a really well done, like, reimagining of the Mega Man universe, and something that's like done very much again and again. Yeah, Mega Man just kind of just did that sneakily, threw an X on it, and everybody was just like, wow, this is actually a really good idea, like just upgrading these. But it's that gameplay loop. Like, it's the gameplay is fun and solid. You can just redo it and kind of like add to it, and this just adds on every single level. It's except maybe the music, but I'm also partial to 8-bit.
Okay, all right. So, for example, we always talk about this. Why do we always talk about it? I was like, there's got to be something, right? So I've just pulled up the Mega Man X Wayback Machine because I'm like, so cartoons, we got Rocko's Modern Life, Animaniacs, Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Two Stupid Dogs, Tales from the Crypt Keeper. Okay, all right. Video games, we got Doom, Myst, Link's Awakening, Star Fox, Aladdin, Super Mario World, Mortal Kombat 2, Secret of Mana, DuckTales 2, Kirby's Adventure, and Super Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
I mean, I don't think I did the month of December that year. I think I did like all 93, so it's like a little bit of a cheat, but seems kind of fun. There's Sonic, X-Files.
You got a little bit of everything you want.
We get Mariah Carey, Dream Lover. We get Janet Jackson again, and we get I Do Anything I Love by Meatloaf. So
that's what sealed the deal. It was the Meatloaf.
Yeah, that's why I like that. I actually just really like Meatloaf. So okay, there you go. So that's why you made that list. So I think that's 5 for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for you.
Yeah. Well, I think we got to go. My next one is Pokemon. I had to add things in there, so I did gold and silver, but also kind of tacked on red, blue, and yellow, just because I like.
Yeah. Man,
these games are the same game. It's like there was what was the re-release where you could just play through both. That's the good stuff.
You can play through both, like in gold and silver when you can play through both.
Yeah.
All
but
right.
it's like I like starting in Kanto, whatever.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
All right. Cool. Yeah. For myself, I also have Pokemon. So let's talk. Actually, Pokemon's next on my list. So there you go. I went with gold and silver specifically. Red, blue, yellow. Hold a special place in my heart. Simple-ish, though, I would say. Like, I think I know most things about those games. You know, I've collected. I think that's the only game I've collected all 150 Pokemon in. Right. I was trying to do a Let's Play at one point, but then the sound was too loud, and I just couldn't figure that out. So I quit and played something else. Anyways, but I think gold and silver has that special. It has a little bit of familiar with the original Pokemon, but has just enough new Pokemon to make it kind of seem exciting and a bigger world. There's just a little bit more to do, and the fact that you get to go back to Kanto at the end and redo your tracks, fight all the trainers, kind of see how the world's changed, I think is really neat, really cool. We talked about that on the podcast. I think it's just maybe one of the better Pokemon games out there, right? So of course it has to be on the list. Pokemon, good old G and S.
Yep. Yeah, this was the one that you put on in the Game Boy when you're going on a road trip because you had a lot of hours to kill and nothing but Pokemon to catch.
Yeah,
so.
And there's like other ones out there. Like I was looking at games we played just this last year, and like we played Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. I don't remember anything about that experience, to be perfectly honest with you. Like I kind of remember when I thought back, but it seems more forgettable versus gold and silver. My playthrough for this show is like still ingrained, etched in my mind. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Like I'd probably tell you like parts of my team versus you asked me my Ruby and Sapphire experience. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's unfortunately that's why maybe gold and silver just like felt so good to me, because it would just like it attached like red and blue and yellow kind of all just like wrapped. Like you can go back and visit the old worlds and catch the old Pokemon, and it just feels like a continuation of the adventure.
Yeah.
Whereas like Ruby and Sapphire, you're kind of like, hey, we're starting again, and you don't know any of these things. It's the same template, but yeah, everything's different names and looks different. It's like I feel like I'm having a dream. But
I mean, what's a Pokemon game if you don't get to fight Rattata 100 times at the beginning? Come on, Ruby and Sapphire.
And Pidgey. Don't forget the Pidgey.
Oh, man. Love me a Pidgey. So there you go.
Like a million Zubats.
Love them so much. Unless you get a Crobat. And the Crobat's kind of like, oh, now you have a fast poison type and he's useful. Anyways, on to what's our next game we want to talk about. On my list, I'll go, I guess, I kind of fell in love with it. I don't know when I started playing it. I don't know if it was exactly the SNES. Might have been the NES Mini. And I think we did like an online challenge. And then I made a show about it. And I still play it all the time. Of course, it is the one and only, the greatest column stacking puzzle game in existence. It is Dr. Mario.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get this one. This one, especially considering we were both like shocked at how good this game was. It was it's just a puzzle game.
Yeah.
But it's addicting. Like really addicting.
So addicting. It is just absolutely, it is one of those things I play hours. Like, I'm still playing hours and hours currently today. Like, it's just insane how much I still play this game, how I just kind of, like, fell in love with this weird little game. I'd heard about it before, finally gave it a chance, and it blew me away, blew my expectations away. It's just a very clean, easy-to-pick-up puzzle game.
Yeah, and I think that, like, when the newer iterations, when you're not looking at, like, for some reason I have the black and white version stuck in my brain.
Yep.
And you're looking at just different shades. It's so much nicer that they're all like different colors now, and like it's just you can pick it up. You can just like drop 3 the same color, and like the pill idea is just brilliant. Like it's a neat aesthetic. It's got good Mario music to it, and yeah, I don't know. It works really well. It's not a rhythm game, but it has like a really good rhythm to it. So like when sometimes the music will pick up on the higher level, like you'd feel like you're gotta like step up your swaps and everything. It's got a really good feel to it. So and neat experience.
So I know we're like almost 40 minutes into this podcast and I haven't said anything. Every time it talks, it sounds like you're like feverishly writing with a pen and quill on a piece of paper. So I don't know if there's like a weird like headphone thing or something, or like something's chingling. Like if you're not talking, I don't hear it, but when you're talking, I definitely hear. So I'm hoping that it's just like maybe like our headphone connection or something, maybe like a speaker, and not picking up on a recording. So.
Well, hopefully. I do have headphones attached to me, so maybe I'll just hold them. So
yeah, now it's not there anymore. So whatever, it's that little bit of like scratching sound. So there you go.
Probably my headphone rubbing up against my beard.
Oh,
I'm lazy and not shaving.
That's exactly what it is. Huh. All right, well. I mean, if you were, I really hope you stayed with us. I mean, it doesn't pick up on the recording too loudly, but it's been this whole time. So there you go. Cool. So what's your fourth game?
Yeah, Symphony of the Night.
Yeah,
I know we just played this game, but it's enjoyable. I think I would just if I was gonna like play it again, I'd probably just play a really like lazy experience and not try to unlock everything. But then again, getting overpowered in that game is super rewarding. But I also might just mess around with just doing like Hadouken the whole time and throwing fireballs everywhere and teleporting. So,
yeah, I mean, like I said, we just played that game. It was a very fun, enjoyable experience. It's kind of nice how you can kind of customize, build your character. Obviously, that's the theme that we like, where we can kind of customize and kind of have those individual things, right? So I definitely see Castlevania making a list for that reason. Yeah. I can't wait to play Castlevania 64 next year and just like kill the Castlevania franchise for ourselves.
Yeah, and never play another one.
And that's how that works. No, we have to play the 3DS ones, and you'll be like, wow, they are good.
Oh, the Game Boy Advance ones.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So myself, I got to give another one. I've given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 3 left. Do you have 3 left as well?
I got 3 left.
All right. So let's go back. Tyson said that he kind of wished we didn't get this game, and I don't know why he would say that, because one of my favorite games is Paper Mario 64. I don't know, Super Paper Mario 64, something like that. The original, the OG, super fun experience. I remember we talked about this. Like, we'd play with our friends. We would like do different quizzes. You'd talk about the badges you got, how far you are in the story. It was just one of those like seminal gaming experiences I'll always remember. Right, even picking it up and playing it on the show, I kind of cheesed it, and I got this Super Daisy and was able to like kill him and like overpower my guy. And it's just, I don't know, I think a very unique experience. Not so unique because lots of games do it now, right? But it was kind of the first the first of its kind, and I'd go back and play it. I mean, a traumatic experience happened to me while I was playing it. Definitely might have to put a dog down or something while we were like playing through and I still like this game. So.
That's fair. Everybody needs an escape during traumatic times. I like Paper Mario. Don't get me wrong. And like the first one's fantastic. If they would have gave me more of this, like I hear Thousand Year Door is the one that everybody like points to, but that's been a long time ago, and that is not an available game very often. And yeah, like I like Paper Mario. I can understand why as a kid I'd be like meh about it. And you know what? If there's like a Paper Mario, this was our only RPG franchise, like I accept that, but I just want like a 3D Mario RPG. Now,
you don't have to defend yourself.
You talked about like Mario 64. It's like, imagine an RPG, but Mario 64.
Yeah, that'd be kind of interesting. Do you just want to play Super Paper Mario for the Wii, where you can switch the world and you can be like a side-scrolling or an open like little world?
That's okay. It always feels like whenever they squeeze that in, I'm always missing stuff. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what's your number 3?
I'll throw my Sonic 3 and Knuckles on here because it's good time. It's good time. I mean, as a Sonic like fan, this is like Sonic 2's good, but this like you put the Sonic and Knuckles, then you put Sonic 3 on top, and you get yourself a fantastic experience playing from start to finish. So
yeah, that is pretty good.
Yep.
I might play Mania. Actually, I know I would play Mania over top of it, just because I do think it's a little bit more clean. But yeah, no, I agree. It was up there definitely for contention. I think when I wrote up my list initially, did I ever do that? Is that here? Did it ever make honorable mentions? It did not. No. There was one iteration that might have been on my list, because I definitely wrote, and there was like 15, 16 games, and then went back and rewrote it. I got to 10, and that's where I left it. So yeah.
That's fair. I clearly hit like 20 games, and I just started throwing ands and slashes everywhere and be like, yeah, it counts. I'll still on the same line.
Yeah, that's smart. That is smart. That's smart. All right. Well, I don't know. My last game I'm going to talk about, I'm questioning why it's on this list to begin with, but I'm not going to rethink it. I'm just going to tell you about it, apparently. I have 2 games left. One of them is Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Kong Quest. One of my... You know what? Consider how much I like Super Mario World. I don't think I like it that much. So I was going to say one of my favorite platformers of all time, I think, might be Donkey Kong Country 2. It was one of my first games I got for the Super Nintendo, and it's always just stuck with me. I think it's a fantastic experience. The music alone just takes me back to a special place, and not a lot of games have such a great soundtrack, right? I would play this in a heartbeat. I know at some point we probably have to play Donkey Kong Country 3. I'm not looking forward to it because it's not 2, even though 3 is a fine game. But Donkey Kong Country 2 is on this list because the special place it holds in my heart.
That's fair. It is an amazing game. I love this game as well. I actually added it as my number 2 spot because it's pretty crisp. Like this game, come on, who doesn't love playing actually Donkey Kong Country 2? Like the soundtrack, the controls, like all the different environments, like every boss battle is super memorable. You're collecting all the K. Rool coins. Like it's such a fun experience. Like it makes me wish we got better Donkey Kong sequels.
I've never played Donkey Kong 64. Actually, the tropical games and like the new ones are actually not terrible, right? So if you want to give yourself if you're like avoiding those, or you haven't played Tropical Freeze, go get Tropical Freeze. You'll be like, oh yeah, okay, actually they did bring Donkey Kong back. It's pretty fun. So it's definitely not a dead franchise, but again, this is one of those pinnacles, and it's hard once you perfect something, it's hard to kind of hit it again, right? So.
Yep. Well, and I think everything is kind of lined up, like giving us new characters, but changing things up, but not changing things up. It just worked really, really well.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So that means there's only one game left on both of our lists, and obviously it's the best game. So it's our favorite game. Tyson, what is your favorite game in our first 100 shows?
I think I messed up. Like, I think did I talk about Chrono Trigger at any point?
You did not talk about Chrono Trigger at any point. No.
No. Okay. I think I really messed up, and I should have added, because Chrono Trigger is on my list. I don't know how I'm not talking about Chrono Trigger, because Chrono Trigger should be number 1.
Okay.
But I feel like I have another game on this list that I didn't talk about.
So did you do 11 games?
No, I have it numbered out 1 to 10.
Huh. Okay, so read your list off and we'll figure it out. So what's your number 10? Just read down 10 to
It's
10.
like Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time,
Okay.
Final Fantasy 4 and 7,
Yeah.
Mario 3 World 64, Earthbound, Pokemon Gold and Silver, Red, Blue, and Yellow, Symphony of the Night, and then I got Sonic and Knuckles, and then I got Donkey Kong Country 2, and then I have another game, and then I have Chrono Trigger as my number 1.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think maybe at some point we just got confused. Maybe I went double or something. Like maybe you should have given another one and then I did Paper Mario and said I did Paper Mario. Because that works. You were just...
Either way, we're caught up. Number 1's my Chrono Trigger. This game is so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
As it's a sci-fi Super Nintendo like time travel fantasy game with
epic.
Cool characters. Yeah. Like this is the game I wish I had as a kid.
I agree. You know, I think if you would have had that as a kid, you would have blown everyone away, right? Like if people are like, Final Fantasy VII is great, man, and you're like, no, I got this thing on the Super Nintendo that literally blows Final Fantasy VII away, and you bust that out at a party, people are gonna be like, what have you done? What kind of witchcraft is this? Like, what an epic experience! Like, there's
like you might be my new best friend.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's how that happens in grade school.
100%, right? So, I mean, yeah, definitely one of those things. If we would have stumbled into this little bad boy back in the day, this little gem, I think it would have been just an amazing experience. I think I ruined it because I didn't play through it purely, and I used cheats. And I think back that, like, when I played that game, I had a pirated cart, and I just, like, leveled up my guys, and it was super easy, and I followed a walkthrough to a T. But I think given it, like, an actual like fair shake and not cheating, I do think Chrono Trigger would be like up there, and I would remember it a little bit more versus I just kind of was a very passive experience for me. So
that's fair. I think this is one of those games that like if I didn't like stop and kind of smell the roses at some points, just because like I was in a steampunk warehouse running around and just enjoying my life as playing as a robot. I think it's just one of those things where it's easily like you can easily kind of gloss over it. So like I get why this game wouldn't make some people's even top 10 lists. But to me it kind of strikes all the right chords, and I just like it's awesome. And even just the art style that just kind of reminds me of Dragon Ball Z the whole time. It's like give me this TV show. It's all I ask.
Yeah, no, that is pretty special, pretty nice. Sweet yo. Yeah. So then you got one left, I've got one left after Earthbound. I mean, what else are you going to talk about outside of the majesty, the excellence, the wonder, that is Diddy Kong Racing. That's the game that was on the bottom of my list. I don't know if it's number 10, but one of my favorite games was Diddy Kong Racing. What a fun, unique experience it is, right? Just kind of, I don't know. I think it's the fun of Mario Kart. It's better than Mario Kart 64 because there's 3D models. There's an adventure. You can, redo challenges. There's a story involved. There's an awesome battle mode. The individual racing, I think, is just a little bit cleaner than Mario Kart 2, right? Like, I think it holds up in that sense. And that's why it stands out as one of my favorite games. I think on one of our recap shows, I went back and listened to our year in review shows, and it made my top 3, which is a good sign, right? Because I'm like, if it didn't make the top 3 of my 1 year, how does it make top 10 overall? The math doesn't really work. So that is why Diddy Kong Racing is up there as one of my favorite games. Again, nostalgia, right? We had it as kids. It was one of our first game I think we ever bought. It was Mario 64 and this, so it's been with me ever since I had an N64.
Yeah, and this was like the game we played with all our friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was the game that we spent hundreds of hours running around the ice block doing burnouts, collecting 2 things so you get because the strategy was you get 2 of the rockets, so get Heat Seeker, and then you just chase after each other. And it's a lot of fun. This was the other game on my list because I love racing games, and I think it kind of stems from this. Because there's airplane racing and hovercraft racing.
Oh,
that's all these different characters.
That's the other things. You get different carts. Like it's not just a kart racer. You get a hovercraft. You get an airplane, right? And
Oh, totally. And it scratches all those like little itches. So if you wanted to just do like if you wanted to play a hovercraft like level to mix it up because you were sick and tired of getting murdered on a kart racing derby thing, it's like you could do that. Or if you want to fly around in a little like a little plane, it's like, and they're adorable. Like each character handles differently. In our kid heads, we had like different like, oh, that person's definitely faster and that person's definitely slower, and you kind of feel that way. Like I'm sure we didn't understand all the subtle nuances, but we kind of like figured it out as kids, and then like looking at the wikis nowadays, we're like, no, we're kind of correct. Like most of these people, like, yeah, no, they're faster on top speeds, but they're slower here. I don't know if we like read that in Nintendo Power because we were pretty obsessed as kids, but yeah, no, this game brings back a lot of fond memories, and I think that even the adventure mode is so addicting that even our dad tried to play through it as and that's just like a fun memory to me that like even dad picked up the controller after watching us play this and was like, what these kids obsessed about, and he got hooked and couldn't get past the stupid cheating triceratops. So good times.
Okay, so you had it on your top list too, so I wasn't crazy at it. Is one of my favorite shows. I don't know, I thought kind of weird. I had Diddy Kong Racing, but I'm glad to see you had it too.
No, I think we had like a nice mix. I had a hard time narrowing out games that really stuck out to me, which is why all the ands and the and this. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of just good, solid games that we could add on this list. After 100 games of us choosing, here's a bunch of games that we want to play. It's hard to be like, here's the 10 best, because sometimes you like a better, more a franchise more on one day. Sometimes you like one more on the other day, and mine were kind of just like a desert island pick. Like if I'm stuck on a desert island, how am I going to entertain myself? And I'm not gonna lie, if I had 2 controllers, I'd play like little battle with like get a coconut, call them like Nutty or something, and that'd be my version of Wilson in this crazy made up world where I'm stuck on a desert island by power to play video games. So yeah, I don't know, I think there's like lots of good games and it's hard to like narrow them down. I think we picked lots of RPGs because that's just what we grew up with, so it'd be nice to see if other people kind of like could make a list. So but it's hard to list out 100 video games and be like, which ones are your favorites?
Oh, very, 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 very challenging. Yes. So awesome. Nice. Oh man, I'm trying to do something else on the like background, and now my Audacity is like super slow. So I'm really hoping that we get the ending of this podcast.
Well, if my scratchingness doesn't pick up, so we'll see. This might be a fun show, everybody. 101, just the production value coming through.
The bottom's still going, and like my soundbar is just like really lagging.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Probably just processing.
Yeah, cool. Oh, awesome. So yes, with that kind of wraps up. So we just went. So I definitely had some audio drop out there. I don't really think I said anything noteworthy. I was just talking about how I kind of like having these recordings just for my own personal use. So this is me like the future talking, and then you're gonna jump back into our like end conversation. But I just thought I'd maybe add some filler, explain what's going on. Again, great production value. 100 shows in the books, and we still don't know what's going on. Yay!
Yeah, and I think that it's nice to kind of like look back, because I mean, I know there's lots of podcasts that don't kind of make it past the 50 mark. So for us to make it to 100 and still want to keep going is just a testament of our how much we enjoy this thing. It's a fun little hobby where like we get to pick just random things and we just kind of set timelines for ourselves, and it's a nice way of just accomplishing goals, because there's a bunch of games on this list that I would have never been able to finish had we not started this project. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Nice. All right, cool. So with that, is that it for a show?
Yeah, probably.
All right.
We're getting a little long in the tooth. Who would have figured a top 10 list would go on for like an hour?
Yeah. That's, yeah, I definitely lost some like audio somewhere. That's too bad. So we'll see what happens when I pause. Maybe things will normalize, because I'm definitely talking and I can see my speech as it pops up, but my timer on the bottom is different. So that's what I get for trying to do stuff in the background. Silly me.
Well, we'll see how it goes and try again.
We won't try again. So yeah, so that's it. So that's one more show this year, and then we're back fresh next year. So just kind of a fun little quick recap, and I guess Merry Christmas.
Take it easy.
Nice. Because it's coming out on Christmas Eve, so Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, there you go. Good job, us. All right, cool. Well, I'll talk to you in a couple weeks, and bye.
Bye.
All right. So I guess before we go, there's one thing I guess we should probably look ahead. So we spent, almost an hour looking back. What if we look ahead to the future? What are your predictions for your favorite game from the next 100 shows? So between episodes 101 and 200, what do you think your favorite game is going to be?
I think it's going to be Star Fox 64.
I mean, that is a pretty strong contender right now. Like, if I was just to go off on a limb, I would probably guess Star Fox as well.
Yep.
So that's a pretty high watermark. So as of right now, it stands as a clear-cut favorite to be the best game that we play over the next 99 games. So,
Yep. Well, I think the bar is set pretty high. So, it's, everybody's got to compete with the champ. So.
Yeah, true. All right, so there you go. So that's it. So Star Fox, congratulations. You essentially are the champion. You're holding the belt. Every game will be compared against you. I think it's fair because for the next 5 years, you could be the best game we ever play.
Could be.
There you go. So nice. With that, I guess we say bye for real as opposed to that fake bye that we just said a second ago.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Good.